Professor Ray Reagans and his colleagues did an interesting investigation of the success of hip and knee replacement surgeries at Carnegie Mellon hospitals. It's interesting to note that these surgeries are completed by teams of doctors. The key predictor of how successful the surgery was in terms of fewer patient complications, speed of discharge, and so on, is not based on how famous or successful the doctor was, or even how many surgeries that doctor had performed. Rather, it was based on how many times the team had performed the surgery together. A similar study, which looked at commercial flight incidents, found that the absence of disasters was determined by how many times the crew had flown together. We're going to raise 3 questions about building teams. First question, what is a team? If you said group of people, think again. A group is an aggregate of people. A team is an interdependent group of people working towards a shared goal. There are 2 key parts to that definition. Interdependent means that none of the team members can successfully accomplish the goal by themselves. They need each other. A shared goal means that all members have the same desired objective. Too often, teams do not have the same goal. Second question, what are the key ingredients for team success? To be successful, teams need 3 things: expertise, engagement, and execution. Teams need a EEE degree. Seriously. Teams need talented people, expertise, they need to be motivated, engaged, and they need to get the work done, execute. Third question, should all teams be designed the same way? The answer is no. Team design depends on what the goal of the team is. So let's talk about 3 types of goals that teams may have. To do this, we're going to use Carl Larson and Frank LaFasto's typology of teams to distinguish 3 types of work that teams do: tactical, problem-solving, and creative. Tactical teams, like the surgical team, the flight crew, a basketball team, need clarity, and the more time they spend practicing together, the better they perform. Professor Linda Argoti and her colleagues had teams assemble AM transistor radios together. Easy, right? Wrong when she removed the printed instructions. However, the teams that did the best with no instructions were the teams that had trained together the previous day. Teams who had done the same amount of training but with different people made a lot more errors. The key for tactical teamwork is training together. But sometimes we're not simply on a tactical mission. We're trying to solve a problem. For example, one of my management students had a problem: how to increase customer engagement. When the goal is to solve a problem that does not have a well-defined solution, this is known as a problem-solving team. Examples might include teams attempting to stop the outbreak of Ebola, most task forces, or for that matter, any team that's facing a challenge, good or bad. These teams need a lot of trust. Think back to 2014 when the West African Ebola outbreak was sweeping across the globe. Scientists, medical personnel, and travel experts had to share information quickly and accurately. The World Health Organization and the UN Mission for Ebola Emergency Response teamed up for a 90-day comprehensive plan to control and reverse the outbreak, with the goal of 100% isolation of cases and safe burial of all casualties by January 1st, 2015. By all counts, this team was highly successful in ending the epidemic. When you ask people what they care about most in teams, they always say trust. There are 2 types of trust in teams: benevolence-based trust and competency-based trust. Benevolence-based trust means I trust your intentions. Competency-based trust, or respect, means I trust your expertise. For problem-solving teams to be effective, you need both. A 3rd type of work that teams do is creative teamwork. Examples might be a new product development group or a writing team. These teams need a lot of autonomy. For example, when Pixar makes movies like A Bug's Life or Toy Story 2, the development department assembles small incubation teams that are left alone to create. Pixar puts judgment aside during this incubation period. During the incubation stage, you can't judge teams by the material they're producing because it's so rough. There are many problems and open questions. Bottom line, as a team leader, know the goal of your team so you can set the stage for optimal performance.